Hi everybody, in this class we will be moving on to the next set of topics. Now we have done considerable study on lists, but now we would be studying about dictionaries. Now it is imperative to understand what a dictionary is, because once we get the definition right, everything falls into place. So I would like to state that over here. So let me do that. What is a Python dictionary? Now this actually functions just like the real dictionary that we come across in life, where you got words, and suppose you want to look up to a word. Say for example, you would want to know the meaning of amateur. Now, what would you do? You would take up the dictionary and look for AMA, all words starting with AMA, and then slowly you will zero it to the word that you're looking for. And when you reach the word, you have the exact definition of the word amateur, plus you have the related examples. In a similar fashion, dictionary works in Python. In data sciences, in real-time data sciences, you are always interested in certain connections. Say for example, you wish to buy a chair. You would want to know the price of chair, plus you will be looking at stores which are selling chairs in a reasonable manner. Or watches, for example. In watches you've got several varieties of watches, say Rolex, Omega, Casio, Citizen. So these are all watch brands, and they have a price tag associated. So the names of these watches, say Rolex, Citizen, Casio, Omega, these are all the keys. And the value, the data that is associated, is what we are looking at or what we are looking for. So the definition goes like this. Let me state it down. Dictionary is an unordered, this is very important, unordered and mutable Python container. So we are always dealing with some form of container that stores mapping of unique keys to values. So this is exactly what I was meaning when I said there is a connectivity between keys, and when we call values, we are referring to the actual data that the keys are associated with. And what I am going to do is I'm going to give you examples that would help you to understand this. So let's just let us see some examples. And there is literally no such restrictions as to what you can store in a Python dictionary. So let's go back to the folder. I'm going to create a dictionary example .py. So this is the file we will be working on. So the first thing is I want to actually create a link between population, or I would say between cities in Germany versus the population, right? So we will create a dictionary. So always remember, dictionary is nothing but a container that has a key value pair. This is what we are actually dealing with, relationship, right? So we will create a dictionary that is indicating the cities in Germany versus population. So foremost, how do we represent a dictionary? So we will start off like this. This is the variable which we will be using, population, and a dictionary is created using flower parentheses. We start the first one, say Berlin, within a single quote, and then we come out of it and then say Berlin has got 300,000, and you place a comma when you give the next city, say Bonn, and this has got say 400,000, and you create the next city, say Munich, and this has got say 200,000, and followed by another city, say I'll give this city, right? So this is the key, and the population, say 100,000. Now you can simultaneously create another students in your class against their math scores. Say you can say student math scores is equal to, open a parenthesis. So you can start with the name of the student, say James mathematics score is 89, and David, say math score is 90, say Candy math score is 87, and Chloe math score is 86. So the next one is say product info. Say shop as the following inventory. So I'll start with the flower parenthesis, and it has got chairs, say 12 different types of chairs it has got, and tables, it has got 10 different varieties of tables, and lamps, it has got say 23 different varieties of lamps, say beds, it has got say 19 different models, and what else we can place there? Probably say kitchenwares or grinders or mixers. And mixers, it has got say 5 different types of mixers. So this is the product info for a shop. Now we can also move up and give information for individual students and their personal data. So we can also do that. I would like to give you one more illustration where a list is incorporated inside a dictionary. So I'll say course info for a student, and I'll start with the name and say whenever you're giving a string, you give it with a quote. I'm using Emily as an example. So that would be the student name, and age is next key. This is numeric quantity, so just give that value plainly. And after that, I want to give the list of courses that the student is pursuing. So over here, I'm going to create a list. So whenever you wanted to create a list, open a square parenthesis and then place in the subject, say math, JavaScript, CSS, Python. Okay, so these are a list of courses that the student is pursuing. So I've given you your four different examples for a dictionary. In population, you can clearly see the different cities with their population. In student score, I have incorporated the scores in scores of students in a class over here, with the student name being the key, and the score featuring as the data. And similarly, this is the inventory for a shop, and this is the course info of a student who is currently pursuing a program in a university. Now, these are all illustrations for dictionary. Now, what sort of operations can we perform? Now, what I can do here is I can say print, and then I can open a parenthesis and I can state the population. Now, let's save this and check out what exactly we are getting. So go to the terminal and you run it with the command Python dictionary, give a tab so the file comes here, give enter. So clearly you can see the entire information about that particular country with regard to population is displayed, right? Now that's fine. Now I want to exclusively see the population of one particular city called Berlin. So let me indicate that, save it, and check if it's possible for me to get that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and there is the info. You see that Berlin, immediately I'm getting the information for that particular city. Now let me just go to the next list, right? I want to know what is the score of a student. So I'm just moving out and I want to know the score, the math score of a student. Okay, student math score. Say I want to know the math score of David. So open the square parenthesis and then you place David there. Then you save it. And then you go to the terminal and then you place the keyword and then the file, enter. You see that math score is occurring, right? So this is how you access information from a dictionary. Now this is one operation which I've just mentioned to you. I'm going to show you other operations that can be performed on the dictionary. Right, so let's do that. Now the next operation that you will have to learn is what happens if somebody is searching for a record which is not present in the dictionary. Say for example I want to print, say student math score of Chloe. I save it, I run it, Python dictionary, and the score is present, so I'm getting the output. Now what if I'm looking for the score of a student, say Lisa? Let me save that information there and I'm running here, Python dictionary. You see that there is an error here, an exception is thrown in line 6. So how exactly can we avoid this? So this could be avoided. How? By changing the way we are accessing the information in dictionary. And how do we access it? We will be using what is called as the get method. So if you want to get a student, say for example I want to get Candy score, I will pass the requirement as an argument via the get method. So I'm going to save it and I will run it and you can see it by yourself. So Python dictionary, okay, so the score is there, so it's present here, the output is received. Now what if, as I mentioned to you, let us give a student's name that is not present. So I'm going to save there, right, and then I'm going to run the code. So Python, you see we're getting a value none. So this is a better way, there is no exception that is being thrown. Now we can actually customize this, right? How are we going to customize this? What we can do here is, if the data is found, then you give the data, display the data. If the data is not found, then you say record not found, right? So this is another beautiful way by which we can customize the info or the record that is not found. So I'm going to show that to you. So Python dictionary, you see that record not found. So this is a beautiful way. It's a customized way. We are not getting exception. That's a good thing. Application won't get disturbed or altered. It won't break. And also there is a customized output, record not found. So that's a nice way. So we'll move on. Okay. Now we have learned how to create dictionaries. We have learned how to access dictionaries. We will also learn now how to update a dictionary, right? So what I would do is I would go up to the folder and I will create a new file. So I will say dictionary update.py. Now you can clearly see here the example that I would be using here would be product info. So let's create the dictionary product info, and we will start off with the flower parenthesis. Now this is basically the inventory of a certain shop. Now as I mentioned to you, this shop has got chairs, say 120. Imagine they have got 120 chairs of a certain model, and they have got tables. They've got 30 tables, and they've got beds. Say they've got 100 beds. They have got lamps. Say 23 lamps. Now suddenly there is new set of products are coming in. New set of products, I mean, there is an increase of chairs or an additional chairs are coming because the customer suddenly, or I should say the clients feels that the inventory for say tables have gone down, and so he orders new tables and new tables are coming in, so he has to update this list, right? So let me give the comment there. The business owner wants to update the shop's inventory, right? He wants to do that. Now how are we going to get that done? Okay, now just to recap, foremost, if we want to access the dictionary, what we would have to do, we would have to just say print product info, and we save it. We go to the terminal and we go to the terminal and we enter the file Python dictionary update, right? So this gives us the entire inventory. In other words, we are accessing this created dictionary. But how do we access individual elements? Say I would like to know the number of chairs that my inventory holds. So what I need to do, just go there and give chairs within the closed parenthesis. Of course there should be a square parenthesis and a code, and you save it, then come back here and run it. Python and dictionary, and you get 120 chairs, right? So you know what to do. Now if you want to avoid that error, I've already mentioned to you, instead of passing in the argument in this fashion, don't pass it like this. Just pass it using the get method. Get chairs. Get chairs. If there are chairs, chairs will come. If there aren't any chairs, then chairs will not come. Or there isn't any product or key like chairs, then it will come. So you can just use this get method. I've already mentioned to you. Now, what we have to do now is to perform an update. I want to change this chairs to 200. So how are we going to do that? What we have to do here is just come over here and write a line of code. Just say product info. Open a square parenthesis and place chairs there, chairs, and then equal to, it's not 120, it's 200 chairs. Just imagine there is an update for chairs. And then you print the dictionary, product info dictionary. You save it, go back to the terminal, Python. Clearly you can see the chairs are updated. Now imagine instead of chairs you want to update the tables. So I already mentioned to you the tables have to be updated, and now there is a new inventory of 120 tables. So you save this, go up over here and run the dictionary update file. So clearly you can see the tables are updated. So whatever you wish to update, you can update it using this line of code. So after update, the most important point comes here is how do we delete a key. That's also important, right? How do we delete a key, and how do we actually use other related functions pertaining to dictionary. So we will see all of those. Now the next important action that we will have to see is how exactly we can delete a key value pair. Now remember, in a dictionary, to every key there is an associated value. So that is how a dictionary is created. So if you want to delete a key, it means you are also deleting the value that is associated with the key. So that is the idea. So now for that, let me just go to the folder and give a demonstration. So I am sure, or I would like to say, I hope you have understood how to update a key in the dictionary, right? So this is how you do it. So just to give you a review, if you want to update the beds, all you need to do is type the dictionary object name, and then you open a square parenthesis and say you want to update lamps. Give that key and place the value that you wish to update. So I want to give 210. And now if you wait to print this, take this up and you print it over here and you run it. So this is Python dictionary update. You can see that 120 lamps are there. So this is just to give you a recap. Now let's go to the folder and we create a file. So this is to show how we can delete keys, right, from a dictionary. So if you want to create these things, right, so you can clearly see the terminal gets more populated. So just give CLS. CLS means clear screen, right? So you can just place that there. So let me just create a dictionary. I want to create dictionaries with, say, cricket teams and their captains. Would that from here? what you wish to do is, now in case things are going off like that, go to view, go to word wrap, and you can wrap it up like this. You click on it. So now you will also have the left column to view things, right? So now there is a wrap that had already been applied. Now you want to drop Australia. We want to remove that key from that particular captain's list. Now what we have to do, this is the operation we can perform on dictionary. So del captains, open the square parenthesis, and then you give in Australia there. That's it. And then you want to print it, you can print it. So print captains. I want to also show you before delete. Okay. So I'll give a print statement, print before the application of del function. And over here I'll say print. I want to give him some patterns. So, and then I'll say print after the application of del function. So we save it. So you will find a difference in the dictionary. Alright, so let me run it. So Python dictionary delete keys. Okay, so before the application del function, so we got the entire list here, you can see that. And after the application of del function, you got Australia missing. Australia is not there. So this is how you apply the del, or in other words, you totally remove the entire key and its associated value. Now you can also completely get rid of the dictionary object. You can also delete the dictionary object. Now all you need to do is just give del and the name of the dictionary. Everything would be deleted. I don't want to delete it. I just wanted to mention that point to you all. So having mentioned that, we'll move on to the next set of operations. Now next we would be looking at would be the ways to retrieve keys and values. So I want to write a small code for that. So let me go over here and create a file. So it will be dictionary retrieve keys and values .py. Now imagine you have a grocery list for the month. You want to go to, these mega supermarkets are available, but the point what you have to take into account is that these mega supermarkets are situated outside the city skirts. So that means you will have to drive at least for 2 hours to reach these mega supermarkets. Now this is to say when there aren't much traffic on the road, because these supermarkets or mega supermarkets are so huge that you can't have them inside the city. So they are actually situated miles and miles away from city skirts. So you will have to take a drive, probably on a Sunday morning or a Sunday afternoon or something like that, depending on whichever day you like, Sunday or any holidays, whatever you want. You can take a long drive. Now there are two things you have to take into account. One, these supermarkets will give you mega discounts, just as you got the name mega supermarkets, they give you mega discounts. Say for example, you want to buy a bottle of cranberry. Now this cranberry may cost you, say in a supermarket, it might cost you say $10. But if you buy the same cranberry in a convenience store, it will cost you $13 or something like that, or maybe even $15. So there is a huge difference there. But if you buy the same cranberry at that mega supermarket, it would cost you maybe $5. I'm just giving a rough estimation. it will cost you 50% less. And people always like to go there. And the problem is that if you miss something, you miss something. You're not going to get an opportunity to go turn your wheels back and head back to the supermarket. So it is always necessary to prepare a list. Okay, so I'm going to use my dictionary skill sets that I have gained or that I have within my arsenal to prepare a grocery list. So I'm going to mention it as groceries and then open the curly parenthesis and start. Say, how many eggs do I need? Say I need 100 eggs. I want to buy 100 eggs. And then how many apples? I wish to buy 30 apples. You need to buy everything in large amounts and then stock them up. And then meat. How much meat you want to buy? Say 10 kg. And this is the all list. So let me come over here and print this grocery list. So groceries, I open my laptop and I just go to the terminal, I enter the file and I execute it. So, okay, this is what I am looking for. Okay, so retrieve, probably I didn't save it, so let me go and save you. I save it and I run it. So you can clearly see the grocery list is appearing. Okay, now this is the situation. Now imagine you are actually shopping for 10 people. Okay, say groceries, this is groceries for Tom, and you're also shopping grocery list for Cindy, right? And this is not there, and the values are a little bit different. Say 5 and eggs, say 50 apples, let that be there, cranberries, say 10. Okay, this is the grocery list for Cindy. Okay, so you can get it printed. That's natural, right? So you have this information. Now the scenario which I'm just giving you here is, imagine you have got a grocery list for 20 people, say Tom, Cindy, Matthew, Mark, Luke, so on and so forth. Suddenly Cindy is calling you and asking you, look, I'm not sure if I would have placed sugar in my grocery list. I'm not sure if I'm not really sure. I don't remember if I've asked you to buy sugar. If sugar is included or not, I don't know. Now, what would you do? You would go back to the program and look for that data or look for that key. That's not going to be easy. So I'm just giving a scenario for 10 people. There might be 100 people on the list, and each of them will have different varieties of requirements. So what we have to do is to call in a beautiful action or operation that can be performed on dictionaries. So that can easily get the required information. So Cindy is asking if sugar is there or not. So I want to just pull in the data for Cindy. So I will just go here, groceries for Cindy, and then I will give this method keys, right? It's actually given as keys. Cindy dot groceries underscore Cindy dot keys, and I want to get this printed. I'm calling this. So to get this printed, all you need to do is to just place print there, and close the parenthesis, and you save it, and then you come over here and you run it. Python dictionary retrieve. You see that? Eggs, fine, apples, yes, meat, cranberry and salt. So we don't have any indication of the key sugar being present there, right? So now we know Cindy hasn't ordered sugar. So you can liaise with Cindy and find out how many kilograms or how many pounds of sugar she needs. So this is a powerful way to retrieve keys from the dictionary, and it can come in quite handy. Okay, let me give you another scenario. Now, Tom calls up, right? Now you have to understand, you might be wondering why they have ordered, do they not remember? Well, that is the biggest issue. People don't remember what they have ordered because they are so busy, right? And you should also have this in mind. There is this huge industry going on. What is that industry? That is called as convenience industry, right? Just because you don't want to keep track of all these things, you give it to the third party and they do the shopping. And in case you have an issue, you can just send a message to them, right? Send a message to them and find out what is the issue, and then just give a message. They will do the thing. So this guy, he gets a message. The man who is running the chores, he gets a message. He says that, look, man, Tom is calling this person or sending a message. Look, man, I'm not sure the amount of meat that I have asked you for, right? He's not telling him. I'm not sure if you ordered meat. He knows he has ordered meat, but he's not sure how much of kilos of meat or pounds of meat he has ordered, because he wants to, since he's expecting some guests, he wants to increase the meat value, the amount of kilos of meat that he has purchased. So what does he do? He sends a requirement saying that, please check my meat content, how much of kgs of meat. So we need to get, so this guy who's running the chores, he needs to look for this guy's meat. Now you can clearly see Cindy too has got a meat key there. Like that, say for example, 30 people have ordered meat, or maybe 300 people have ordered meat, or say 3,000. So we can't be going and looking into the data. It's not easy to extract information from the data. And that's the reason we got Python. So that's a key point that you need to know. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack, right? And you got a million pounds of haystack lying around you. Okay, now I hope that clarifies. So I need to get the meat value from groceries that Tom has ordered. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say groceries for Tom, and I want to know what are the things he has actually placed in, or what is his order, right? So this gives you that exact information of that particular client. So place it within parenthesis and get this value printed. Okay, print of this, and then you save it, go to the terminal and run the Python command, Python dictionary. Okay, so this gives, you see that this gives the values that are being placed in, and clearly you can see that eggs, apples, meat. So meat is the third value. So that really gives a idea. Okay, this person has only ordered 10, and he can send a message. What do you want? I've got 10. So Tom replies back and says, look, I want to change from 10 to 20. So let me just give a comment here. That's better, right? Comment. This is to retrieve the values, and probably I'll uncomment this and I'll say this is to retrieve the keys, and then we need to perform an update. So how do we do an update? Print groceries for Tom is meat value has to go up by 20 kg, right? By 20. So probably I will not place a print here. I'll take the print out and then I will print groceries for Tom here, right? And that's fine. So I save it. I go to my terminal. Just watch here. So Python dictionary. So clearly you can see the meat for Tom is increased from 10 to 20. You see that? So you retrieve the value, you see what has to be done, get the code from the client or customer, and then you perform an update. Simple as that. So in this lesson we have learned how to use the keys and the values and how to perform an update. So having mentioned this, we will move on to the next important illustration, and that would be how to create an empty dictionary. That's very important. Now, why is that important? Now, most of the times we need to give the user of an application the liberties to add the records. Of course, we can give some illustration how what sort of records can go in, but they should be able to perform the operations and the records. When I talk about records, I'm talking about the keys and the data that the dictionary contains. Now, for that to happen, you should create an empty dictionary and then set it afloat. Now, the most important point here is that how do we create it? Right? So far, we have created dictionaries from the developer perspective. So now we are going to do this with mind that someone is going to be placing in the records. So having mentioned that, let me just go on and show you how the empty dictionary is created. So foremost, choose a name. I'm going to say student records, right? And then you open and close the flower parenthesis. Now what you need to do is you need to print and find out. So I'm going to include the following: student records, and I want that dictionary to be printed, so that would ensure that the dictionary is printed. So I'm saving this and I'm going to the terminal, and then I will run that file. So Python. So clearly you can see that the records are empty. So this is the name of the dictionary, student records. We know it is a dictionary, but the third party or the person who's using, they will think the records are empty. So let's add some records. Now, just to be sure, I'm going to display to you the length. To get the length, just use that method length and pass in the dictionary. So I'm going to state the student records, and then I will save it and I will run it. You can clearly see that the records are 0. They are empty. Probably what you can do is you can state that number of records, right? It will give some, it will render some good information. That's the best way to say. So student records over here, they are empty. You can clearly see that, and the number of records is 0. That would mean when you place 0, it would mean that it can always be entered. The values can always go in. So that's the idea that you are conveying to the person. Okay, now the most important question here is how do we enter the records in an empty dictionary? So what I would do is I will give a comment over here, creating empty dictionary, right, in Python, so that it will be explanatory for those people, because I would be giving you all these codes so that you can practice them. Now we are going to be moving on to the next important aspect, and that would be how do we add records, because without adding the records there's no point in creating the empty record, right? Empty dictionaries are not going to serve any purpose. As I mentioned to you, we are creating it. That's the first action. The second action is to allow someone to enter in the records. So that's exactly what we are going to do. And let me just show you how to do that. So I'm going to the file here, and I'm going to create a new file. So this is going to be dictionary adding records or adding keys to empty dictionary.py. Okay, let's do that. So first is we need to create the empty dictionary. So this is going to be student records. It's created, and to add a record you need to create a variable, right? Because we are trying to add a key pair. So how do we do that? We have to actually do it in the following manner, right? So we need, of course, we need a variable. So I'm going to say new name, right? New name is, you can give the name of the student. Now let's just start like this. The name of the student, say Joe E, and new age is equal to, say, 20, just like that, right? So now to add, this is the all important step. So mention these dictionary student records, then open a square parenthesis and enter the new name inside. This is the key and this is the value. This is the key and this is the value. That's it. And then you get it printed. Print student records. I hope you got it. So I'm adding a key and a data for that particular key. So I'm saving it. Let me go to let me clear it first and then enter the keyword Python and the dictionary. So dictionary adding keys to empty. Okay, that's fine. So clearly you can see that the first student is added along with the age. Now you want to add one more key, and the data connected to the key is what you want. So how are you going to do that? So you want the GPA of the student to be featured there, right? So I will say new GPA and then equal to, I will give this key GPA, then I'll come out of this and then I will say new GPA value. So value is, say, 3.3. So this is the value. So now when you're adding it, you will have to, I'm just going to copy this, and then inside this I will give GPA, and then the value associated is going to be new GPA value. And then when I'm printing the records, you will clearly see there's going to be an augment in the records. So this is the file we are looking for. I'll copy this and I'll send it here. And you see that the name of the student, the age of the student, the GPA, and the value associated with the GPA. So isn't it beautiful? So like that you can proceed, you can go on. So you can either have this for individual students, or you can create a list for a group of students.